again. It's a rich thing.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, there have been rumors around this certain player being linked towards the Chicago Bulls, and today I'm going to provide my personal opinion on whether or not we should bring this player in, or whether or not we skip past this player and maybe look in a future direction. And today I'm going to be talking about Matisse Thybulle from the Philadelphia 76ers. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls' chances of getting Matisse Thybulle if we are interested and those rumors are true. And what do you think he brings to the table that the Chicago Bulls will need? Because at the end of the day, he's definitely the type of player that I feel like there's a lot of positives and a lot of negatives too. So we're going to get started into this video now, looking at his statistics for the Philadelphia 76ers this year, playing 66 games for Philadelphia. Averaged 5.7 points, 2.3 rebounds, 1.1 assists, shooting 50% from the field and 31.3% from the three-point line. At the end of the day, I think just by looking at the stats, you can clearly see what he's good at and clearly see what he's not good at. But just to bring you a little bit of extra stats, I believe, that he had for the Philadelphia 76ers, he averaged, I believe, 1.7 steals per game, and he also had 1.1 blocks per game, I believe, as well. So all that being said, there's a lot to like about Matisse Thybulle, especially on the defensive end. I think we all can tell just by watching Philadelphia games and just by watching him play, he is a massive presence on the defensive end. I believe if he was to come to this Chicago Bulls team, he would be one of the better defenders we have on this team. I personally think he is better defensively than the guys that we have in that position already. I think he's better than, obviously, Derrick Jones Jr., who'll potentially be leaving the Chicago Bulls team. I think he's also better than Troy Brown Jr. defensively, who could potentially be leaving this team. Even Patrick Williams, I believe Matisse Thybulle has a good shout at being better than Patrick Williams on the defensive end as well. He's known as a lockdown defender around the league. But there has been a couple of worries, I guess, in terms of, the last couple of games, especially towards the end of the season. People have been saying that his defense has dropped off from the beginning of the season, which at the end of the day, I don't watch every single Philadelphia 76ers game, so I personally can't say that as factual or non-factual. So I guess if you watch a lot of Philadelphia games, let me know if that's true or not. But that's what a lot of people were saying about Matisse Thybulle. I think in terms of the Chicago Bulls, he's a very interesting player. Obviously, the reason why we are linked to him is that Mark Eversley, I believe, is a huge fan of Matisse Thybulle and wants to bring him into the Chicago Bulls. That's very interesting. I believe he's 6'5". He's 25 years old, and I still believe he's under contract under the Philadelphia 76ers, and he'll be a restricted free agent in 2023. Now, knowing Philadelphia's cap situation, there could potentially be doubts about potentially bringing him back for the long term after 2023. So this could potentially be the time where Philadelphia looks to try and send him off and trade him elsewhere, and maybe try and get a little bit more cap space to bring other people in. Who really knows what Philadelphia has in mind? But I think he's a big fan in Philadelphia, to be honest. I think a lot of people do like him, definitely for his defensive end. But when he comes to the Chicago Bulls team, his problems are still the problems that the Chicago Bulls have with everybody else on their team. He's not a three-point shooter. I think that's the weakness to his game. I think in the first year of his career, he shot 35% from the three-point line. But every single year after that, he's around 30 to 31% from the three-point line, which is extremely poor. I also believe he had 2.2 attempts this year from the three-point line, averaging 31%. So he doesn't take a lot of them, to be fair, but he's not making a lot of them either. So it's another situation where, again, I think what he brings to the table could be fantastic in terms of the defensive end and being one of our better defenders in the NBA. Plays bigger than what he actually is, in my opinion, as well. He could probably guard those bigger guys and guard some of the guards as well. He's definitely that type of player. But when it comes to the offensive end, I'm not sure if he actually offers us much more than what these players on this team already have. Now, I guess the question has to go now when it comes to Matisse Thybulle is that would I take him as a Chicago Bulls player? At the end of the day, we're going to have to trade for Matisse Thybulle, in my opinion. As his contract suggests, he's a restricted free agent in 2023. And we're going to have to trade some sort of asset, I guess, to acquire Matisse Thybulle. Now, this could potentially be signing trades when it comes to Derrick Jones Jr. or Troy Brown Jr. That could definitely help and send them to Philadelphia. That maybe that makes sense for them. Getting cheaper guys that can also, I guess, in similar position, maybe could do something in that area. But I really don't know what we could actually give up in order to get Matisse Thybulle. I feel like he'd be a good addition off of this bench, of course. I don't see him as a starting player for the Chicago Bulls whatsoever, especially if we keep our core the same. If we keep DeMar, Lonzo, Zach, Patrick Williams, Vucevic, I truly see him being a bench player on this team. I think he could be a good bench player on this team as well. But you can't say that he's the perfect player for the Chicago Bulls, in all honesty. You can't say he's the type of guy that will revolutionize the Chicago Bulls. But what you can say is he's an improvement on what we already have. And I personally 100% believe that. He may not be the three-point shooter as Derrick Jones Jr. was, who shot 32%, or Troy Brown, who shot 35%, Javonte, who shot 35%. But I think he brings a lot more defensive tenacity than a lot of those guys do have on this team. So I guess it comes down to picking and choosing your strengths and weaknesses. You want to improve the defensive end, because if that's the case, you got to bring someone like Matisse Thybulle in, because he definitely impacts the defensive end leaps and bounds beyond what we already have. If you're looking for a three-point shooting team, you might want to stay away from Matisse Thybulle, because we know he has liabilities in his shot, especially from the three-point line. So it does come with his strengths and weaknesses. But personally, absolutely, I think I would take Matisse Thybulle from the Philadelphia 76ers. Being linked to him is a very interesting thing, and I do feel like at the end of the day, this is going to be the start of what the Chicago Bulls are going to be linked with for the rest of the offseason. We've already seen Mitchell Robinson links, and now we're seeing Matisse Thybulle links. They're very intriguing players, but I would definitely like to take Matisse Thybulle off the Philadelphia 76ers' hands if they're willing to give him to the Chicago Bulls, and I'm intrigued by that, and I can't wait to see what the outcome will be. I do also feel like there is a good chance that Matisse Thybulle will stay with the Philadelphia 76ers next year, and they will have to deal with him in restricted free agency. Again, the sign and trades of a lot of teams, that seems to be the direction that most teams want to go down in the future anyway. So if they want to keep Matisse Thybulle one more year, try to compete for a championship next year, knowing that they got a really good defender on their hands that could be very valuable for them, I don't see why he can't stay in Philadelphia either. So I'm trying to play both sides here. Of course, there's an opportunity for them to trade him because he is making a lot of money. And there's also an opportunity to keep him for one more year and deal with him in restricted free agency and see what they can get out of that situation. So keep your eyes out for both. It's definitely not a foregone conclusion that they keep him. It's also not a foregone conclusion that they trade him either. It's a very down-the-middle situation when it comes to Matisse Thybulle and the Philadelphia 76ers. But just to recap, I feel like his strengths on this team would be extremely good defensive, prowess. Probably one of the better defenders we have on this team. I think him alongside of Lonzo and Caruso, you put that lineup out there as a really defensive type lineup. I think that's a very valuable asset to have on the defensive end. I think he's definitely one of the better bench players you could have on this team defensively as well. He will be one of our better defenders on this team. And also, his offense is probably a liability. Doesn't really have too much offense to his game. Is someone that does struggle from the three-point line. That's things you have to take into consideration. But I think in general, I would probably take Matisse Thybulle from the Philadelphia 76ers. But let me know in the comments below what you guys think about that entire situation. I also do like the fact that Marc Eversley is a big fan, because that obviously means that the front office would want someone like Matisse Thybulle, and they're clearly scouting him. And if Marc Eversley is a big fan, then again, I've always said I'll trust this front office. That includes Marc Eversley. As much as it's about AK and how he gets a lot of the praise, if Marc Eversley wants to bring someone into this team, I will trust that as well and hope we can live to see the results in the future. Let's just wait and see overall. If you're a Philadelphia 76ers fan watching this video, let me know in the comments below what you think about Matisse Thybulle, because what I've seen based on social media and I guess a lot around the league, it's very mixed on him, because again, his defense is really, really great. I think no one can really argue with that. But I think offensively, he does make a lot of Philadelphia fans a little bit annoyed as well with his ability to not make some of those shots that he probably should be making. But 50% from the field overall is not a terrible, return for 5.7 points per game either. But again, it definitely can be improved upon. And I do feel like that's a part of his game that he should improve upon. With 25 years old, he has a couple more years to get better at that situation, get better at the corner three, get better at the three-point line in general. And if you can do that, then I think this will be a great addition to this team, in all honesty. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.